Shango Ray here, aka Real Deal Ray. And I thought I would make a very brief video. Title of this video is called What You Don't Know, or I think I titled it What You May Not Know about the push with the poke. Now, I'm going to talk fast, so you're probably going to have to listen a little bit faster. I'm going to use my own phrasing for things, but we all know what's going on throughout the world. Unless you lived in a cave somewhere in isolation, we all know about the situation. As I mentioned, going on in the world, and no matter one's opinion, there can definitely be said. When I say no matter one's opinion, I mean to the right or to the left of things. I'm taking the most unbiased approach that I can here. Let me say something first before we get into this. I do not give a fuck about your personal politics, spiritual practices, what you believe, what you don't believe, whether you're right, left. I can give a fuck less. Everyone deserves the chance to make up their own mind, to come to their own decisions and choose their own stance, whatever the hell that may be. Okay. Now, what I'm about to tell you is I have a client. Excuse me. This client doesn't live in the United States of America. And this client's aunt. Now, this is where because we have had a ton of correspondences. So this client's aunt, and I can't remember for sure, I may put like an edit point in the description box of this video, but she is kind of like a bigwig at either a pharma company or something within the medical field for my client's particular country. And disclaimer, okay? Disclaimer. Let's just say that my client is a fucking compulsive liar, okay? And just told me this information, and even though it sounds good, I'm not going to get on here making a video based off of just what somebody said to me. Now, if you did your own 5 to 10 minute research, preferably on DuckDuckGo, because it's not as, fucked up as Google, you may find, interestingly, associated information with what I'm about to say. Okay? As regard to the poke. I'm speaking in code because I'm not trying to, I'm not one of these people who's trying to wake people up. This isn't a conspiracy theory video about the poke. Okay? I'm not here to speculate on whether there's fucking alien jism in the poke. I'm not here to speculate about nanotechnology being in the poke. And none of that. Why? Because the truth be told, Shango Ray is not in a fucking lab making this concoction for you to be poked with. Okay? And really, truly, the only way you're going to know something is if you are there. Even other people who are in the medical profession, there's levels to this shit. And information is disseminated accordingly, trickles down. So that part I do know. Okay, I think we can both agree on that, right? So I'm not just making this video as if I read this and I was like, oh, wow, and I'm going to go run with it like I just agree. I did do my 5-10 minutes of research on DuckDuckGo. I would suggest that you also get DuckDuckGo and not Google, because Google is becoming just more and more fucked up. But just as far as just if you're really wanting an unbiased, so you can make your own decision. Okay? Part of this disclaimer also is this too. I am not a healthcare professional. I'm not a medical professional. I am a scientist in my own right and in the way that I approach different things in my life and my particular work in my life. But I am in no way a like PhD scientist. I am none of these things. Okay? So in life, there comes a point where you're going to have to just trust, right? You pick up a package of food and you turn it over to see the nutritional information and ingredients. You got to trust whoever the fuck wrote that. You weren't there making that food. You don't know what else could be in there or is not in there, or it could be right. My point is, you don't fucking know. You're not there. So in concerns with the poke, there's a whole bunch of information out there, right? There's a whole bunch of information. Some of it is this way, some of it is that way. Okay, look, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not any of that shit. But what I have extensively studied over the last 12, 13 years is mind control. On an interpersonal level, and of course, the biggest illustrations of those things is when we look back at the past, at governments, and it doesn't take a genius to see and to recognize certain bona fide specific tactics. That's not what this video is about. As far as if there was an agenda being pushed, and I'm not saying this in a conspiracy theory way, but there is an agenda being pushed. Having an agenda is not a bad thing. It's just having an agenda. The question is, what is that agenda? So having said all that, I'm going to read the message from my client to you about what you may not know about the poke. If you are a sovereign being, then you're going to do your own research and see what you come up with. This one key point of information is something that is not being told, although it is right there. It's one of those kind of things that literally is hidden in plain sight. Much like a lot of the information that is hidden in plain sight every time you download an app. For the most part, when you download an app, you're giving away certain rights. We all have. Nobody reads that shit. They just press agree because they want that app. And they don't know how many times their mic, camera, information, cookies, all that shit has been compromised. All of us are guilty of that. All of us have done it. So I'm going to read this text to you about what you may not know about the push with the poke. So that way, and I'm gonna comment on this. Yet another interesting fact. The plot just continues to thicken here, truthfully. LOL. My auntie was saying that her work actually got to have a look at the fine print that goes along with the V, the poke. Like the terms and conditions, basically, what you're agreeing to if you take it. They've bamboozled motherfuckers yet again. Everyone keeps focusing on the zero liability aspect. And they're really highlighting that fact a lot. Case in point, this is me now. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people in the conscious community obviously talking about that. And, that is so. For the most part, there are exceptions, and other people maybe trying to sue or win a case doesn't mean they're going to, right? Okay. Everyone keeps focusing on the zero liability aspect, and they're really highlighting that fact a lot, which is true because you will hear a lot about that. That if you get the jab and something goes wrong, they have no liability. What they're not mentioning is why. Because zero liability clauses and shit are pretty standard in the pharma game. But I didn't realize they're focusing on that aspect intentionally to hide the truth in plain sight. You're not actually agreeing to waiver liability, LOL. You're actually agreeing to be part of, and this is the fucking key word here. Remember, words are spells too, okay? Maybe that's conspiracy theorish to you, but you're actually agreeing to be part of the, quote, clinical trials. Let me repeat that word for you. Those words. Clinical trials. If you take the poke, between now and sometime in 2023, okay, so over the next 2 years, that tripped me out big time. And it is not a secret. Anyone can ask to read the fine print, and it's right there. So these motherfuckers are basically paying to get jabbed, and in reality, they're being used as guinea pigs, literally. Now let me stop there. If who you look at as a medical god, and you are putting your trust in what they say, is openly saying to you, oh, we don't know what the fuck's gonna happen to you. May not happen right now, but we're gonna give it 2 years to see what happens. Let's see what happens, okay? And in reality, they're being used as guinea pigs. That's his opinion and his terminology. So let me just disclaimer the fuck out this. Literally as a part of the medical trial or clinical trials. At least when you normally agree to be in a medical trial, you get paid. Well, before they fuck you up, LOL. These people are getting double fucked. The fact they've stated until X date 2023 in the fine print says to me that they're also aware that it should take 2 years for the side effects to show themselves, or they're thinking we'll see by then. Sneaky motherfuckers. That bait and switch, though. So, I have looked specifically at the terms and conditions, and that is so. There isn't a medical official on this planet that's going to say, that can say anything with certainty. And obviously, when you start getting into the medical things and sicknesses and treating people, there's always an element of uncertainty, right? This is the Hail Mary of that, though. Okay, we're talking about fourth quarter, 10 seconds to go, and you have the worst receiver somewhere by the end zone, and you close your eyes and just toss that motherfucker as far as you can, hoping they catch it, and it's snowing. You know, I live in the United States of America, and let me just ask you like this, right? Has our government ever lied to us? Has our government ever willingly experimented on its either military or civilian population of any kind in the last 50 years, 70 years? And, you know, these participants were unknowing and more than likely unwilling, or they were lied to. Now, I'm going to let you answer that in your head, but obviously these are bona fide facts. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because of character, yo. And it's not just our government. China's even worse. You know what I'm saying? Like governments in general. If you was to take a government and personify it into a individualized person, it would be the most sociopathic, psychopathic serial killer of all, with absolutely no heart. And in some actual ways, I can understand it, being that it's a government or whatever, you know. All governments have a omelet type of outlook or attitude. You got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, you know. And many people have been a part of this omelet throughout time, throughout history, different governments. I don't think that that can pretty much be contested. But I decided just to make this, just to present another perspective. You know, I see all these people, you got your, you know, people who are totally to the one side. And I mean, if we're talking about character here, okay, your relationship with the government, my relationship with the government, it ain't been the best. You know what I'm saying? Like the government, it's like if you've been in a relationship, right? And let's say you've been in a relationship for 20 years and your partner says, hey, well, we're finally going to disclose some things we did 15 years ago. You know, I was in a reverse bukkake with 7 bitches and they were jumping on my dick and, you know, riding my face, and then they'd hop off and just get in the mix and squirt all over me. All of them. I got drunk. Sorry. What would you think? First of all, your whole paradigm of what you thought was true would be shattered. Then, of course, the next thing would be, well, what the fuck else have you done in all this time yet that you ain't said? You know, you catch one lie, you catch one roach. And if you catch one roach, 99.9% chance, there's a whole lot you ain't catching. That's all my point is. And if you can learn to just kind of back up and take, you know, when I do this, I take this larger perspective, as large as I can, unbiased as I can. I may not know about the contextual information, i.e. all the medical information, medical facts, all this shit, which can easily be coerced or corrupted. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. I don't know. How about that? I don't know. I'm not pretending to know all that shit. But there are certain patterns. And yes, governments are entities too. You're an entity. Government is an entity too. And there's just certain goddamn patterns with these motherfucking government entities. And to think, like I said, using the relationship analogy or metaphor analogy, I think. Are you going to believe that person? Yeah, well, we're not doing nothing now, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing nothing now. Maybe in 10 years, I might disclose what I did yesterday to you. Time heals all wounds, right? You know, like, it's cool. That was a long time ago. Why are you tripping on that? Come here, baby. Ugh. This is Shango right here. Just giving you a little something to think about, that's all. I found it very fascinating and interesting and, to be honest, inspired. If you are in the medical profession, don't think I'm going to be fucking debating with you. You have a right. For me to get up on here and criticize people, right? That's why when I was reading his shit, I said, you know, his opinion, because I want to be as unbiased as possible. Like, if you want to go and get poked and then post it like as if you're proud, like you just voted or some shit, be my guest. I'm not here to tell you you're a fucking idiot, you're a moron, you're a sheep, you're all that. I'm not here for that. I would be no better than one of these fundamentalist Christians or Islamic people trying to impose their beliefs and will, or any type of religion for that matter, not just those two. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I said that as well in here. You know, I'm not judged. Like I said, I really don't give a fuck what you do. Poke or not to poke. I don't care what you do. Okay? And I hate to sound like that, but it's true. Why am I going to front to you? Like I so care about. You know what? Do what you're going to do. Do what you're going to do. All I'm saying is just make sure you gather information, you know, be as unbiased as you can. All right? Okay. And proceed with what you think. And of course, also, you know, let me say this. Number one, too, gather all that information and then listen to your intuition. Shango Ray, peace.